Hi, I'm Colin and I'm here with the International Sailing Academy, and today we're going to talk about how to set up your boom vang. We see a lot of boom vangs in non-professional sailing realms that come in poorly set up or poorly calibrated so that the sailor is not able to pull on enough vang when they need it, or it's very difficult to pull on, and also potentially that they cannot release the vang enough to get the full range out of the system. So we're going to talk here and show you how to set up your vang perfectly, and we're going to basically begin here with a vang that's not set up very well. So this vang, you can see this is actually one of the stock vangs that comes with laser when you buy it, and it's got this red line. It's thick, it's rough, it has a lot of friction, and it's just not a nice thing to pull on because of all that friction. It makes it a lot more difficult. So we like to change this line out, and we'll show you in the good vang example some recommended line, but that's a cheap, easy fix to take away a lot of friction in the system. As well, setting up the vang so that your maximum ease, so the lightest tension that you would have on the vang, which would be in light wind downwind, is when your handle here is right at the cleat, so that it's impossible to ease the vang past your maximum ease setting. And how you determine that tension is basically there's some amount of tension on the vang at maximum ease. It's a little bit difficult to get the key in when the outhaul's hooked up, so you have to push down a bit on the boom and then you can get it in. Another way to tell is to bounce the boom from the back of the boom, and you want the system to go slack once and then twice again. So I'll demonstrate that now. So we're just looking at the vang here, and you just pull the boom down, let it go up, and you can see that the vang got slack during the bounce more than 2 times. So we might want it just a tiny bit tighter than that. That looks about perfect. So once we have our maximum off setting, normally you would then have your handle just tied right here, so that as soon as you come around the windward mark, you just release your vang. It goes all the way out to the end of the handle, and then that's your maximum off setting. If it was a really windy day, you would just pull it on a little bit from there. But there's no reason to have it any looser than the ideal max setting, which I just show you how to achieve. But we still have one issue here with this vang, other than the line being of a low quality line, is that this block here is sitting at the middle of the system during the maximum ease. So ideally this block would be sitting at the top, and that's going to give you the maximum range in the system. You want to be able to pull on quite a bit of vang tension in a laser when it gets windy and you're becoming overpowered. And so every top level sailor sets their vang up this way, where they have the traveling block that moves along. It's set up so that at maximum ease, it's at the very top of the system. So we're going to do that now. So here, in order to get this block up to the top of the system, we're just going to need to untie the primary line and shorten it up, and then we'll loosen up our control line so that we end up with the same max ease tension that we just found. So first you just uncleat it, loosen it up, and you take the vang out and untie the primary knot. Okay, so here we've got our a block brought up to the top of the system, or very close to it. And here we've got our handle, and when you release the handle, we've got a bit of tension there, and the key's a little bit hard to get in with the outhaul on, and it's calibrated with the bounce system that we talked about earlier. So this Vang now is set up with its full range, so that when the handle's at the cleat, you just have that little bit of tension, and then you can see how the block will have its full range and ability to travel down the line. So you can get a lot of Vang on if you need it. If the block was here starting in the center, it would be bottoming out, which we need to avoid. So now we've got the full range of the system. It's important to, if you're just making this Vang up for the first time, get a ton of tension on it and just make sure everything's stretched out with your knots and the lines, so that you're truly calibrated when it's time to get out on the water. So now that we've got this Vang to about as good as it's going to get without changing the actual equipment, we're going to move on to show you a Vang that's a little bit better set up. You know, we really need to change this line out. A better block would be nice, and a nice addition as well is to add a plastic handle onto the loop, so you can get more power in your pull, and it hurts your hands a little less as well. So we're going to move on to a different Vang setup now and show you about that and how to mark the Vang. All right, so here we have a Vang that's a little bit better set up. You've got your plastic handle here. Up here you've got a nice Harken block and higher quality spectra here. So the max ease for this particular boat is actually a little bit too loose, and we're not going to adjust it now since we just explained that. But you can see just how much easier it is to pull the Vang on with this setup. I can pull on a lot more tension, a lot more easily, and the line's running really well. This is a FSC control line, and we recommend that. It works quite well. So now we want to show you a little trick to help calibrate your Vang, just to give you some reference points when you're going around leeward marks, or just to give you a gauge on helping you quantify how much actual Vang tension you have on. So we're basically going to do that by putting marks on the Vang at various tensions, and you can see that when you pull your Vang on, the block moves, and there's one line here on the primary that doesn't move. So you see this primary line's moving, the block's moving, but this line stays the same. So on that line is the one that we're going to add our markings. Okay, so the first setting you're going to want to mark on your Vang is your block to block setting. And when we say block to block, that means when the traveler block and the block at the end of the boom are touching. So here we'll pull in our main sheet all the way as far as it'll go till the two blocks touch, and then we just take the slack out of the Vang in that position. Okay, so then when we release our sheet, that tension is maintained on the Vang, and you can take just a piece of electrical tape, or you can use a marker, and we'll put that on the line, in line with the block, so that you can pull your Vang on, and when the block is right across from the tape, you'll know that you're at block to block setting, even if your sheet's not at block to block. So for example, before you round the leeward mark, you can get your Vang on to an appropriate amount of tension. So you can see your mark there, pull your Vang on, and I know that when the block's in line with the tape, block-to-block Vang. Another good setting you can use is to put the boom and the mast at 90 degrees. So this is a good setting, a good baseline setting for reaching and also for maneuvering around the start line. So you know, we ease the Vang so that the boom and mast are at 90 degrees. It happens to be about 2 finger widths away from the previous tape mark, so you could measure that more precisely, but I like to make all the marks the same distance apart. So that's just a crude way of measuring that. So I've noticed that it's 2 fingers away, so I'll just got some pre-cut tape here. Put the tape around your non-moving piece of the Vang, and that's your 90-degree setting. Okay, you maybe use that for around the start line. There's your block-to-block, and really this is just the start of having some Vang tension on in a laser. And as the wind gets stronger and stronger, you need to generate quite a lot more tension than this. So what we'll do is just add 2 more tape marks, another 2 fingers away, and we're going to call those ones D-Power 1 and D-Power 2. You could even use different colors if you want, or a permanent marker. I like to use the tape because sometimes when you switch rigs, things get a little bit off calibration. You might have to even adjust your lines a little bit to get to the settings we talked about earlier. So now we've got 4 settings: block-to-block Vang, D-Power 1, D-Power 2, and baseline, reaching, and maneuvering around the start line. So if I wanted to, let's just say I was sailing upwind and was going pretty well, and my Vang was set here, I could remember that so that when I come around the leeward, I know exactly where it should be. Or if my coach came by and said, "You don't have enough Vang on, you need to increase your Vang," I could pull it on to D-Power 2, and then I would know that for that given condition, approximately that amount of tension makes sense. So these are just reference points, so you can remember exactly how much Vang you had on when you're going well, and to give you an idea of how to achieve that same tension again. Thanks for watching our video on Vang setup. For more information like this, you can visit our laser resources section on www.internationalsailingacademy.com.